Okay, Anna, if you're ready, then we can start. Welcome everyone to this Pain in Motion Masterclass. I'm very happy to introduce to you all our excellent speaker of today, Anna Söderlund. First, thank you, of course, Anna, for your time here. Anna is a professor in physiotherapy with behavioral medicine profile, and she is located at School of Health Care and Social Welfare at Mälardalen University in Sweden. She is also affiliated to the Arkada University of Applied Sciences in Helsinki, Finland. She is a leader of a multidisciplinary group, the BME Health Group, which is the group of over 20 researchers, and her research area is on the prevention, treatment, and evaluation of health problems from a behavioral medicine perspective within the physiotherapy framework. Her research focuses on the individual behavior and ability to function in everyday life at different ages. And as such, she has more than 100 published scientific articles, and she is also a member of the European Pain Federation Academy Board, as well as an editor-in-chief of the European Journal of Physiotherapy. So welcome, Anna. We are very happy that you're going to talk to us today about sedentary behavior and chronic pain. Is it just an increase in physical activity, or something else we need to do? The floor is yours, Anna.
Thank you, Annalene, and thank you, Joe, for inviting me for this to have this masterclass. Now we see if I managed to share. So what do you see, Annalene?
I see the first slide, so that's perfect.
Yeah, you should see the first slide.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. It was nice to see that so many could attend to this lecture right now, and this will be recorded, so you can spread the word, and that people can find this later on. I would like you to all your in our audience to write in the chat how many hours you are sitting or being sedentary during an ordinary day, just an approximate number of hours. Think about it a little bit and then just write a number. You don't need to write anything else. And Annalene is just looking for the range of hours that are emerging in the chat. So please do that for me. Yes, this is our afternoon topic. What should we do with this sedentary behavior? Yeah.
Some people are already adding it in the chat. Do you want me to say something about it?
No,
we not yet.
We can come back to that.
Okay,
the
perfect.
End of
all right, great.
So this is the planned content of the lecture. I just wanted to say some words about pain and then about sedentary behavior concept as it is, and also the association between non-communicable diseases, NCDs, with sedentary behavior. Thereafter, about pain and sedentary behavior, what has been done there and what is the problem, and interventions to increase physical activity and decrease sedentary behavior. A little bit about that too. And in the end, towards the end, about motivation, the concept of motivation, which is not so very straightforward concept, and finally about motivational factors for change in sedentary behaviors versus physical activity. It might not be the same motivational factors that is working for both. So the pain, and I think many of you are either working with patients with pain problems or doing research with health problems in the pain area, and you know that it is complex phenomenon, and it is influenced quite quite much by aspects such as biomedical, pathological, physical, musculoskeletal diagnosis, but also, of course, psychosocial. It can be depression, anxiety, loneliness, or behavioral, which could be physical activity, about physical activity level, and sedentary time and bouts of sedentary time. Socio-demographic aspects, age and sex, for example, and socio-economic, education and income. So the pain is really complex phenomenon for a person who has, especially those who has long-term pain. But sedentary people, who are they? If you're looking at these domains where we are, we all are sedentary more or less. And if you're looking at these domains, there is leisure time, household time, transporting time, occupational time. So we are all doing this. And we are today in as the world is, we are sitting way too much in this when doing, for example, at work or transportation or household, even household works. So there are, I think we can say that there is no special group of sedentary people. We are all sedentary. And we need to remind us all that even though we do not everybody has pain, but still we can do a lot of harm to ourselves health-wise if we are too sedentary. So there is a lot of opportunities to be sedentary in our life, as you see in these domains. So this is another figure that shows a kind of conceptual model of movement-based 24-hour period throughout the day in two components, where the inner ring around the black one, the center black one, is about energy expenditure. Oh, sorry, my English is not always good. Expenditure, and the outer ring is about general posture. And we have, you can see the lilac is about sleeping time, and there is also, we are doing sleeping in sitting position, reclining, or lying in the bed. But that is about, when we are counting in energy, it is less than 1 MET. And then physical activity is the green one, and there we are different kind of different positions of physical activity, and that is all that is counted in energy-wise 1.5, more than 1.5, and then it is light, moderate, or vigorous physical activity, and done in different kind of positions. And the last one is down below, and it is about sedentary behavior, which is less than 1.5 METs, and it is also done in different kind of positions. It is not only sitting; it's also that we are lying down on the sofa and watching TV or what, looking at our mobile phones or something like that. The sedentary behavior can be defined quite many ways, and one of those is the time spent in sedentary behavior. And one definition is that you have prolonged sitting time or sedentary time when it is about more than 30 minutes when you are not doing anything else, just sitting or lying down or reclining. And those bouts, episodes, they are periods, any any long periods of uninterrupted sedentary time. World Health Organization came out with guidelines for physical activity in 2020, and the first time in these guidelines they also talked about sedentary behavior, which was I was actually very happy that the World Health Organization finally identified this part of our behavior too. You can be very physically active and fulfill all the guidelines for that, but you can still be very sedentary, too sedentary health-wise. This group who wrote the guidelines or summarized the guidelines, they pointed out that there is a research gap to study how breaking up sedentary daily time with a light intensity physical activity will affect health. So 2020, it was, now I know that there are ongoing studies and maybe already published studies how to lessen sedentary time with light intensity physical activity and how that affects our health, especially for those who are very sedentary. So first time World Health Organization also acknowledged that light intensity physical activity could affect health, but there are missing studies from this area still. So attention, you all who are listening, who are researchers. Sedentary behavior is a strong risk factor for non-communicable diseases, for example, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, cardiovascular diseases, and chronic musculoskeletal pain. And it is unfortunately growing health problem globally. This meta-analysis, which is from this year, they saw that the number of steps which we should achieve per day are changing quite often. It is time to time it is 5,000, and then it is suddenly 10,000, and now this meta-analysis concluded that at studies what they were putting together and analyzing together, they showed that all cause of mortality decreased with only 3,967 steps. So that is quite much less than before was considered to be something that that influence mortality. So we should walk at least, it is about 4,000 steps. But then, and they also made an analysis for cardiovascular mortality, and that was even lower. If you are taking 2,337 steps per day, then you are already decreasing your risk for cardiovascular mortality. And it's kind of I think this is good because not all of us are in that condition that they have the energy to walk 10,000 steps, for example. But it is hopeful that already with these numbers of steps per day, you can have a little bit better health and a little bit longer life. This was also a summary of this. This study came out 21, and they concluded. You see in background the studies that they were included, and they saw that sedentary behavior that was more than 7.2 or in some studies 9.5 hours per day was associated with higher risk of earlier death. So this and if you remember the my first figure, those domains of sedentary time, it is not difficult to fulfill these hours, 7 hours or 8 hours per day of sedentary times, especially if one is sitting in an office as a occupation, as a work, or need to have transportation, maybe 1 hour, 2 hours to the work. So these hours will get high quite easily in our lives. This one showed how low back pain and sedentary behavior was associated, and I wanted to highlight this one because there are not too many studies about sedentary behavior and pain. There are studies, but I think we still need to study this area much more. But this one, they saw that there was a correlation between sedentary behavior and low back pain in adults and children. Children and adolescents was part of this meta-analysis, which I wanted to highlight to you, that we need to be aware of also our children's and adolescents' situation when how much they are sitting. They included 27 studies, and adults' risk factors for low back pain were sedentary lifestyle, prolonged sitting time. That was the definition of more than 30 minutes per bout, like. And driving time too. Driving time was the highest risk factor for low back pain. For children and adolescents, which were ages from 9 years old to 16, so already 9 years old had significant risk factors for low back pain. And these were the risk factors were about TV watching and computer mobile usage or playing computer games. So we know that children and adolescents' pain problems are most probably increasing in these populations too, and so we need to be very aware that the sedentary behavior is a problem for these young people. Pain and sedentary behavior. They saw in this one that total sitting time and computer use and mobile use, video games, and were associated with musculoskeletal symptoms. And they also showed that sit-stand desks and alternating sitting and standing decreased actually musculoskeletal symptoms. So they in this report they included also some intervention studies. It was this report was about definition, determinants, impacts on health, and current recommendations. So this was not this is an intake open kind of book, and this was not on an article. Here. This was a so-called Maastricht study where they were looking at people who had normal glucose metabolism, pre-diabetes and type 2 diabetes. And they were looking at the association between sitting time and the musculoskeletal pain. And they saw that daily sitting time was associated with knee pain in older adults with diabetes type 2, but not in those without diabetes type 2. So something happens, something not so good happens when a person has diabetes type 2 and is sitting quite a lot per day. The risk for knee pain most probably is higher then. If any of you have seen my slides somewhere, some other occasion or conference, you most probably have seen this woman. I have had her with me in my different presentations so many years now, but I just can't let her go. I think it is so marvelous photo of a elderly person who still can do quite many things. But this is what I wanted to talk now is about changing physical activity behavior in pain context, but also sedentary behavior. And yet another meta-analysis. They included 23 studies and were looking at the effectiveness of interventions and intervention components for increasing physical activity and reducing sedentary behavior in people with musculoskeletal pain. Unfortunately, of those 23 studies, there was only 3 studies that measured sedentary behavior, and only one had specific intervention for sedentary behavior. All the rest was about physical activity, increasing physical activity. The one that had an intervention, this systematic review also was looking for what kind of behavior change techniques the studies had been using. And for the sedentary behavior targeted study, the intervention included goal setting, behavioral contracts, social support, prompts, and credible source. And these are, at least goal setting and social support and prompts, they are that kind of behavior change techniques that emerge also in the physical activity area. But there are much more techniques being used in physical activity area than in sedentary behavior. So it was a little bit pity, but there is not enough intervention studies targeting sedentary behavior in musculoskeletal pain. So that this is also an area where we need to have more research. And if you are looking at the effect sizes for physical activity post-intervention, it was maybe medium or on the higher part of the low effect size, 0.32. But the long-term follow-up, and I believe it was something up to 6 months, not longer than that. And the effect size for physical activity, increased physical activity, was 0.2, which is quite low effect size. And unfortunately, all the studies for that gave something for effect size calculation were of very low or low quality. And you see the sedentary behavior post-intervention, and remember that this was only one study, but the post-intervention showed 0.2 decrease effect size for decreasing sedentary behavior. And long-term follow-up, the effect size was very, very low, and as was the quality of the study. Here is another one. I have actually before, when I was collecting information for this lecture, I was really looking several times for sedentary behavior interventions in pain context. And there are so few of these. So even though this is a very little study, they had only 27 participants from the beginning, which and then 3 of them disappeared, and those 27 were randomized in having an intervention or not. And the intervention in this study was about counseling, sit, stand, desk. They gave these people workers sit, stand, desk, and they had an activity prompt to reduce sedentary behavior, some kind of alert prompter that identified times when people had been too long time sedentary. And then they had also monthly calls to during this 6 months intervention. And during the calls they reviewed goals for sedentary behavior. They introduced the problem-solving strategies, and they introduced only one behavior change strategy per call. So 6 different behavior change strategies were introduced during this 6 months sedentary behavior reduction intervention. And the results showed that people decreased their sedentary time by 1.5 hours per day, which is quite good. And at 6 months, they did not decrease anymore. They had not decreased any more sedentary time, but they perceived increased vigor, energy, and reported better social functioning, lower pain, and better sleep. So there might be something, even though this is quite a simple intervention and quite doable, quite feasible to do. So there might be something in this kind of quite easy intervention when we want to target sedentary time and reduce it. Oh. So now on the motivation. Self-determination theory, SDT, is one of the most leading theories of human motivation, and it has been applied in many settings very, very much, very often. And the core concepts in this theory is autonomous and controlled motivation. They are the core concepts in the SDT. Autonomous motivation is defined as when one is trying to reach the goals for reasons that are meaningful for the person, that also are consistent with one's values and kind of life goals, or because of reaching the goals would be enjoyable and satisfying for the person. So there are quite many different kind of underlying aspects that affects the autonomous motivation. The other one, controlled motivation, is defined as trying to reach one's goals in response to an external or internal demands or pressures. So they define this motivation, as I think I mentioned in the beginning, that this is not the only motivation definition. There are many motivation definitions, and there are very thick books of what motivation is in the psychology area. But this is one way to define motivation. And if we are defining motivation in physical activity and sedentary context, then we can then we can talk about something that is on affective and cognitive factors. I mean, this I found in this one in I think the author is Shields, who wrote that already ancient Greeks were fascinated by what motivates a person to movement, physical activity, and sedentary behavior. And I just couldn't hinder myself to write it down here, because I mean that is so long time ago, and we are still fighting with the same problems. How to be physically active as much as our health needs to be, and how to be less sedentary, have less sedentary time to have a better health. Already so long time ago, they were thinking about this and trying to influence this to the better health. So the affective affective factors are, for example, emotions. It is about emotions and engagement, and also attitudes. Certain kind of attitudes are affective factors. And the cognitive are about beliefs and reflections, optimism too. And there is a reciprocal interaction between these factors, affective and cognitive factors, and that is something that is producing the movement, says Shields and colleagues in their paper. And I think I agree with them as far as when I remember all those patients with pain problems that I have met during my clinical lifetime, that there are both affective parts and cognitive parts in when we are talking about physical activity, increasing physical activity, but also decreasing sedentary behavior. Most of the intervention for behavior change are though based on frameworks that are consisting on cognitive constructs, and which is it can be one of the reasons for to have quite small effect sizes in the interventions, as I showed before in one meta-analysis. So maybe we should do something more than only include cognitive construction, and as when we try to motivate people to move more or sit less. This self-determination theory has though affective construct, and which is quite near of something these Williams and Evans are called construct of desire to do something, motivation as desire to do something. And that could possibly mean that a more effective intervention framework could be based on this self-determination theory. By the way, there are studies that has shown that if the intervention, whatever behavior you are changing, if the intervention is based on theory or theories, then it is a little bit more effective than non-theory based interventions. So theories content are about several tools that can be used in motivating for increased physical activity or decreased sedentary behavior. And I think I'm really thinking that we should always think in terms of some kind of theory when we are planning an intervention strategy or even treatment as clinical worker treatment for in aiming to motivate to physical activity and less sedentary behavior. There are several, of course, many theories and even recent theories that include both affective and cognitive constructs. And for example, something which is called affect and health behavior framework by Williams and Evans. I like colors, as you see. So this is from 2020, from a paper 2020, where motivation states for physical activity and sedentary behavior was discussed, and they introduced desire, urge, wanting, and craving. This was published in from something psychology, and they mean that and stated that movement, the motivation state of for movement and for rest, sedentary behavior, it is about different kind of wants and urges. If we want to approach or avoid. So if we meet a person, for example, who has a desire to move, and then in the same time, very strong craving to rest. So it is if we are not identifying these motivational states for the person's different state for physical activity and different state for sedentary behavior, then we might miss quite a lot in our treatment or intervention. We need to target this differently. And if we are putting chronic pain in this context as a kind of confounder, it will be even more the aversion to move, avoiding movement is not so. It is quite often, you see it quite often, that people with chronic pain, for example knee pain or hip pain or low back pain, that there is a desire to rest rather than move. So I think this figure is showing us that we need to think little bit differently when we are talking about increasing movement, increasing physical activity, and decreasing sedentary behavior. I don't know if anybody of you have cravings to move, which is this urge, intense motivational state. But maybe there are people that really has urges and cravings to move. So there not maybe all of these boxes are very relevant in every case, but still try to think with these about these concepts when you are talking with people, and when if you are planning an intervention study. Me and my colleagues had a poster. This is about a poster what we had in the International Behavioral Medicine Congress in Vancouver this autumn, a couple of months ago. It was in August, I think. And we wanted to describe what we could find in the literature, if there were differences and similarities in motivational factors when reducing sedentary behavior versus increasing physical activity. We could include we found in final search, we found 146 papers, and then finally included 17 studies that was about physical activity, motivational factors for physical activity, and 4 in motivational factors in reducing sedentary behavior. And this is the results of that. We have not written the paper yet, and we'll see if it will be an article later or not. We'll see. But this was the results on the papers. 70 papers for about motivators for increasing physical activity. These are not. They were very much overlapping, of course. So these are all the motivators we could find in those 17 papers. And motivators for reducing sedentary behavior, specifically in those 4 papers, I think it was 4 papers, but anyway, they were so much more few. They were not so many as at all as in the physical activity area, but it might have to do with that we have not been doing so much research in the sedentary behavior area as we have been doing in the physical activity. The red one is about motivators that exist in both sides. Goal setting, prioritizing what one have to change, perceive the demand from inner demand or external demand, social support, planning, how to change the behavior, and organizational enabling. So these are motivators that should be working well should be increasing physical activity and decrease sedentary behavior. So they could or should work in both areas. But as you see, the motivators that are not common in both areas, you see that there are different motivators in sedentary behavior that we might need to identify and think when we are planning an intervention study or when we are thinking about treatment of our patients, for our patients. So, sorry, this one. And this one is also my colleagues study about adherence to and maintenance of self-management behavior in older people with musculoskeletal pain. And it was when it is a scoping review, so it is not a systematic review, but still we tried to find studies that were showing what kind of techniques people are using in studies to increase adherence to one behavior and maintenance of one behavior. And even though this was about self-management behavior, that was what we defined in a search. But mostly, and I think in all cases, it was about to increase physical activity. And this framework, capability, motivation, and opportunity, it is Susan Mickey's group's framework that we identified a category for all the behavior change strategies that emerged in the studies. And I wanted to have this in my presentation in 2 reasons. Motivation, because motivation is an important part of this, and it is about cognitive and emotional and decision making and habitual processes. So we need if we want people to adhere to a new behavior, increased physical activity in this case, or maybe also this could work in decreasing sedentary behavior area. So we need to think about all these, the individual's capability, the motivation, and also the external behavior prompting opportunities. And the same is for maintenance of behavior. It's unfortunate that many studies do not include the phase of how to support maintenance of behavior. The initiation of behavior change is well supported, and one is using several techniques, behavior change techniques, and maybe also adherence. At least the adherence was measured, and maybe not that much supported with the technique, but still. But the maintenance part, it was like, here you can learn your new behavior, and then we leave you on your own. And that is not, it doesn't work that way. We should not leave people just to figure them, so that they should figure themselves out how to maintain this new behavior, how to keep on doing it, especially when it is about physical activity and maybe also about decreasing sedentary behavior. It is so easy to fall back to the old behaviors. So I wish that in future studies, when we are doing intervention studies, that we are also planning in how to support different kind of behavior change techniques are needed for adherence part, and different kind of behavior change techniques are needed for maintenance part of behavior. This will be my next last slide, and it is Joe's and colleagues' study about lifestyle and chronic pain across the lifespan. And I think I was reading it here the other day, and it is a very interesting study, and I really recommend you all to read this. And they conclude that treatment approaches for people with chronic pain should address all relevant lifestyle factors and form it kind of to individually tailored multimodal intervention. And it should give a little bit higher impact and higher effect sizes if we are addressing all relevant lifestyle factors for these people. But I need to say that different lifestyle factors might need different behavior change motivators. So if we in this paper they are listing physical activity or inactivity, sedentary behavior, smoking, diet, and alcohol maybe too. But all these lifestyle factors might need different behavior change motivators. So all behaviors might not be optimally motivated for change in the same way. So even though one lifestyle behavior can be changed like this and motivated to be changed like this, but the other one maybe not. And also, how many lifestyle behaviors are possible to change in a certain time frame? That is also, there are different studies that says that you should only change one behavior in a time, and then there are also studies that says that it is okay to change several, 2, 3, or maybe 4 behaviors in the same time. But it is a tough work for the individual who needs to change. And maybe it is because the change for different behaviors happens through different motivational aspects. So how many of you should think that you should decrease your sedentary time? That is my last question. You were writing the number of number of time in the chat, and yes, how do you think you should do? You should keep your sedentary hours, or you should lessen them. What did you find, Anneli, in our little study?
Well, I think it's very interesting. In the range in the chat is from 7 hours to 12 plus. So I think it's funny to see that people stating 12 plus, they don't want to state 13 or maybe 14 hours, they state 12 plus, but that's the lower and the upper bound, 7 hours to 12 plus. So I guess most people will have to change their sedentary behavior.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this very nice presentation, and the floor is now open for questions from the audience. So if someone has a question, please unmute yourself and maybe put on your camera so we can see you and can answer your questions. Maybe I can start with a question, Anne, if that's okay. Then the other ones can maybe think a bit further on some questions. Or I was wondering, in one of your slides, you mentioned a review stating that 7.2 to 9.5 hours of sitting time per day is linked to earlier death, which are quite surprising numbers, I think. But do you have any idea on the impact of the physical activity levels on that association? Meaning that is the sedentary behavior as such a risk for earlier death, or can you maybe lower the risk by also being physically active despite the sedentary behavior?
Yeah, I just had the read over the studies, but there was at least one or two studies that claimed that despite of any amount of physical activity, so this stays. If you are sitting, I think it was this 7.2 to 7.5 hours sedentary time. So it didn't matter how physically active people were. And then the last one from 2019, Ekelund, I think it was, they say that they saw in their study that physical activity could compensate somewhat of this. So the studies are a little bit both. It is none side is better than the other one. So there are increasing evidence in both sides for this.
Yeah, okay. But in any case, of course, it's the best to be physically active and to reduce sedentary behavior. Yeah. Maybe a question to follow up on that. Or I see someone switching on the camera, so I don't know if there are some questions. Then I will leave the floor to someone else.
I see Julia.
Yes. Hi, and thank you very much for your presentation. It was very good and very interesting. I have a question about studies, like conducting studies. What do you think that are the main challenges in conducting a high-quality study on behavior, sedentary behavior, and chronic pain? What do you think is the challenge?
I think one of big challenges is how to measure sedentary behavior, because there are quite many self-reports, and there are also these. I think we are using something called activity in our studies, and there are measures. There are what's it called? Several type of measures that are more true in the time of being sedentary, but compared to self-reports. So I think the measuring sedentary behavior is maybe the biggest problem.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yes, and perhaps I can build on that discussion, and thanks a lot for the very nice overview of what is currently known about sedentary behavior in people with chronic pain. If I can follow up on that previous question, perhaps it's an opportunity that we reanalyze some of the studies that have been done, because there have been so many studies on that actually monitored physical activity using physical activity, continuous real-time physical activity monitoring, and most of those studies focus typically then on the amount of physical activity. But of course, those data are available in those studies, and perhaps we can further dig into those studies and to specifically look at sedentary behavior and search for associations with pain sensitivity, with pain intensity, look whether it has an impact on certain treatments, etc. Or isn't that the right way to proceed in approaching this, so that it gets back then to how to measure sedentary behavior, of course?
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea if we could put the data together from different countries, and if I'm not sure if all those monitoring of physical activity, if they give data for sedentary behavior or only for sleep, I don't know. But those that are giving data for sedentary behavior, it should be quite huge amount of persons from those studies. That could be very good idea to make a little bit stronger study about sedentary behavior and in musculoskeletal pain.
Okay, so that's something that we can further explore and perhaps talk about later on, if we dig into the data that we are currently collecting, or looking at data that we had collected in the past. And another question that I had relates to the possible links with other lifestyle factors. Is there anything out there that indicates that sedentary behavior is linked to other lifestyle factors, perhaps from outside the field of pain, where it has been probably studied more than it has in our field?
You know Elizabeth Dean, the physiotherapy professor from Canada. Do you know her? Yeah, I think she has done or summarized studies where she has been looking at least smoking and sedentary behavior. And from physical activity, I think there should be studies for dietary, what you are eating, and associated with physical activity level, and also smoking. There should be studies, but in the sedentary part, I don't know. I haven't searched either. That is a good idea to look what happens here, actually, what happens with the other lifestyle habits and behaviors and sedentary, and in association with sedentary behavior.
Thanks. Very interesting. I was wondering, when you said smoking, that smoking could also be a way to break the sedentary cycle, to go outside, leave your desk to smoke. No, not a good idea.
Don't hear that. Don't listen to that guy.
Okay, we got this from the recording.
That is true.
Thanks, Al.
But it might be too that you are taking breaks from and go outside and smoke, but maybe that person is not physically active otherwise at all, and the amount of hours per day maybe is still 10 hours sedentary anyway, even though you are taking smoking breaks.
Okay, thank you, Anne. I don't see any other questions in the audience, but if you allow me, I would like to ask maybe one last question. What we often see is that people try to cut sedentary behavior by working on a standing desk, by standing while working. I was wondering if you could shed some light on that idea. Is it better to be standing still, remaining in one place, which is maybe also a bit similar to sitting, or is it actually better to be standing still while working?
That has been also studied. In the beginning of these studies of sedentary behavior, everybody wanted everybody to stand up, and then people were standing up 8 hours, and that was not so successful for your legs or for your back, low back, or. And then it went down to that. Okay, I think where we are now is that people should stand half of the day, about 50% of the daily work hours in the desk, and the variation, not 4 hours in one bout, but changing the position as often as possible. That would be all the best. But there's the hours together should come up. If you are sitting totally 4 hours, then you should get up and stand 4 hours too.
Mm-hmm. I
But
see.
not stand 8 hours in. That was good earlier, but not anymore.
No, okay. Mm-hmm. And maybe there's also some value in doing walking meetings to integrate physical activity in the working day.
Yes.
Well, Anne, I think we are at the end of our masterclass now. So I again want to thank you so much for spending your time with us, for sharing your valuable knowledge with us. And yeah, thank you so much also for allowing us to record this, which will help us to spread this word even further. Thank you very much.
And thank you, audience, for being here. It wouldn't been so nice to talk if there were only one person or Annalena and Joe only. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Anne.